Hey, this is Mike from the One Stop Co-op Shop, and I recently shared my top 20 games of 2020, but looking forward to the new year, I also wanted to do a video on my top Kickstarters from this year that will deliver next year, maybe, who knows for some of them, especially the latest ones. Now, I recorded a 40 or so minute video where I went through all 20 of my top Kickstarters for this year, and then I lost the audio for all of it. So we're going to shorten things up a bit just for my own sanity. I'm going to go through numbers 20 through 11 in very quick fashion. It's giving you a pro and a con, and then we're going to go into the top 10 in more detail. So let's get started. At number 20, we have Elements of the Gods. Really fun tactical play with these meeples for multiplayer, but I found the solo a bit disappointing and lacking in variety. At number 19, we have Chiseled, a reverse deck builder. I really enjoyed the tools and how you prune cards from your deck, but I again didn't see enough variety in the play of the game, especially in your scoring at the end. Number 18 is Endless Winter, a Euro with both deck building and worker placement. I know this was a hugely successful game on Kickstarter, and I think it's very good. The solo play is great. I enjoy the deck building, but for me it didn't stand out fully from the pack of Euro games, and it felt like the play would get pretty samey over time. At number 17 is The Phantom, the adventure card game. I really enjoyed the stories in this one and how they followed the comic books, and the core system of building your deck and trying to survive and kind of the narrative elements was great, but I was worried about the amount of content and whether the game would have legs without some more Kickstarters to kind of fill it out later. Number 16 is Stars of Akarios, the solo and co-op epic space opera game. For this one, I was a little worried about the tactical combat, and I didn't see enough of gameplay to know whether they would stick the landing and really get this huge campaign together well, but I did enjoy the ambition there, the variety in gameplay, and the hope for a really cool storyline. At number 15 is Batman, the animated series adventure game. This one I really enjoyed the cooperative dice placement, like in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where you have to talk to your partners and share dice with them, and I think the Batman theme and gadgets is strong, but I have concerns about the solo and co-op design for the AI and the objectives. They were a bit dumb in the version I played, abandoning things they were supposed to guard, so I'm not sure if they fixed that. At number 14, I have Kradia Wild Hunt Festival, an anime-themed boss battler. I really liked the tactical puzzle here and how you had to carefully time out how you hit the boss, but I did have concerns about the character variety, especially in that leveling was very basic and samey from game to game. At number 13, a very similar game, I have Testament, also an anime boss battler. This one, I loved the class building and how your classes kind of advanced over time, and also the core action play reminds me a lot of Heroes of Terranauth, but in some ways was better than that one. The major concern was variety, especially in the enemies. The enemies you would face as well as the bosses didn't necessarily win me over with how much they would change game to game. At number 12, we have Role Player Adventures, the solo and cooperative choose-your-own-adventure game. This one, I definitely loved the story they were telling, the setting. I found the core dice resolution mechanics to be fun. My main concern is whether the campaign will have good variety, whether you'll see different things or it'll feel too railroaded, and also how well that dice mechanic will hold up over multiple play sessions, because it's a pretty basic way to do things. And finally, the last title in these first 10 games is Intrepid. I really like the variety in the astronauts here. I like the dice placement and how you had to cooperate with each other and work together. But on the negative side, I found solo a little lacking, although they are working on it. And also, I didn't think the dice placement puzzle was tough enough. I wanted more options, and I'm not sure if they'll do that or not. Alright, there you go, a whirlwind tour through the first games. Now let's spend a little bit more time with my top 10 Kickstarters of the year, and I'm going to start with the negatives this time and then go on to the positives. So at number 10, we have Soldiers in Postmen's Uniforms, a solo-only war game of defense. I'm a little bit worried about the long-term variety with this game, since the Assault kind of follows similar patterns, and also with the general feeling of fiddliness, having so many tokens to deal with, especially at the start of the game. But on the positive side, this game is so tense. I love basically all of the core combat mechanics, how you use actions and then have to recover your people, how line of sight works, how the dice-based combat works and is very predictable. It is a great, great little skirmish game that is very tough to win, and I appreciate that. At number 9, we have the Librarians adventure card game, a co-op game for 1 to 4 players. And my main concern for this one, like with a lot of the games I've mentioned, was variety. I wasn't sure how much they were going to unlock, how many missions, how many cards to do your deck construction, but the Kickstarter did way better than I expected, which is awesome. So I am pretty hopeful that there will be enough here and that maybe they'll even do a future Kickstarter to add more content, because the game would definitely get better with it. But on the positive side, this game is clearly inspired by my favorite Fantasy Flight LCGs, Arkham, Marvel Champions, Lord Lord of the Rings. It has great cooperative play, really fun card play, nice little narrative in the missions, the characters feel different. It's just a really fun adventure card game overall. At number 8, I have Burncycle, the latest from Chip Theory Games, which is a solo or cooperative game of building infiltration. So the negative on this one, you can go back and hear it in my review, is that I'm not sure if they're going to stick the landing on some of the elements. I found the network play kind of dull right now, and also the game's pacing can be iffy, and it can last longer than I think it should for the gameplay. But on the positive side, I think they've gotten the stealth mechanics amazing. It's so much fun to sneak around the guards. I think the core action system is really fun. The variety in the events that can happen and just how well the theme is done. I'm hopeful this game could be amazing and rise to my top Chip Theory games like Cloudspire and Too Many Bones, but I'm not sure. My number 7 Kickstarter is Townsfolk Tussle, a cooperative boss battler for 1 to 5 players. And my negatives on this one are again things that I hope they'll develop out, which is the possibility of sometimes losing actions, that the play at lower player counts isn't great, that the balance can be iffy and sometimes you kill the boss too quickly. But if they iron those things out, this is a great boss battler with fun use of terrain, really varied bosses, and I just love the fact with these recent boss battling games that I can get that sort of Kingdom Death experience, at least the boss side of things, without a huge time investment. At number 6, I have Uprising, Curse of the Last Emperor, a cooperative 4X game for 1 to 4 players. My worries for this one are basically connected to the 4X genre, which is that a player can get knocked out too early, or that you can kind of mess up your ramp up and then everyone else just destroys you, but it's much less of a problem when it's solo and co-op because you're fighting against the AI, not each other, and this is a really fun game. The tactical combat is great, the variety in the factions, how quickly actions resolve, and just the fun of carving out your empire with these super tough AI forces coming for your head. At number 5, I have another game with a bit of civilization building for solo and co-op, Frostpunk. I have 2 potential worries for this one. The first is that the co-op when they first showed the game was basically just taking the solo and splitting it up, not too inspiring. Now they are working to fix that, but I don't know if they'll pull it off or not. If they do, it'll be awesome, although I'm pretty happy to play this solo, so not a big concern. The other concern is for variety, because I'm not sure there's enough difference in the buildings you'll see from game to game. A lot of that will be determined by the scenarios in the game, which again I've only seen one of, so I'm not sure how it'll turn out. But the actual gameplay is so tense. You have such great, tough decisions. I love the heat mechanic, building out your civilization, the incredible emergent story from these events, and these laws you enact, and the random events that come from those. Just a really cool combination of theme and tough decisions, with, besides the card draw, actually pretty low luck. It's a really cool game. Next, my number 4 Kickstarter of the year is 7th Citadel, the solo and cooperative adventure game. And my big concern for this one, you've heard it before already on the list, is that I don't know how the game is going to turn out. I played such a tiny piece of the game that's not even the same type of gameplay as the rest of it. So it might be amazing and it might not. But the pros, if they pull it off, are that this is an incredible immersive world. It has more narrative than Seventh Continent, but keeps things I like the action system, a really cool way they use equipment, a really cool ways of cooperating with each other. The civilization building looks awesome. So if it works out, this could be an amazing top-tier game. Hopefully it does. Finally, getting to my top 3 Kickstarters of the year, we're going to start at number 3, which is Dire Alliance, a tactical skirmish game with both 1 versus 1 competitive play and solo cooperative play. And this one shouldn't be too surprising to people because I love the Undaunted Normandy system, and this is in some ways an evolution, or at least a sidestep for that, but it's awesome in its tactical play, and the great thing here is the incredible value, because the competitive skirmish play is in some ways very different from the cooperative kind of adventure play, but they're both great, and you just get so much fun stuff shoved into this package. Honestly, the only small negative I have is that the Kickstarter didn't do as well as I had hoped, and they didn't unlock one of the factions, so I'm not sure if they'll end up including that or not. If they don't, it'll push down the variety a little bit, but besides that, this is an amazing value. I wish the game had done better because I think it is a stellar one. Next, my number 2 Kickstarter of the year is Final Girl, the solo-only slasher-themed game from Van Ryder based on the Hostage Negotiator dice system. So yeah, this one is funny because I actually played it back in 2019 with Liz at PAX U and loved it. So I was like dying to play the Kickstarter, and then that was as good once I got to see more content as what I'd played at PAX U, and now hopefully it'll deliver pretty soon in 2021. But the only negatives here are that I haven't seen all the content again, so I'm not 100% sure how it'll turn out, but I have a lot of faith in these designers and in this team. And yeah, the gameplay here is phenomenal. If you like the theme like I do, horror and slashers, it brings it to life in such an amazing way. The events lead to such emergent narrative, the tension of the dice rolling, while still having a ton of mitigation so you don't feel like the dice are making you lose or win, the tough card play, the just encroaching killer coming to get you. Man, what an amazing solo experience. And finally, my number one Kickstarter of 2020. What is it? Can you guess? A few of you I've played this with on Tabletop Simulator. It is Bullet from Level 99 Games. And this is another one where it's chock full of so much content for a fairly inexpensive game. And it's also one in which I have full confidence because Level 99 was cool enough to put basically the entire game on Tabletop Simulator. So I've played a ton already, and the amazing variety in the bosses and the characters you play and how that changes up the puzzle. I haven't even played competitive yet, and I still love this game. Honestly, the only thing I've been missing is actually moving around the tokens, and I went for the upgraded ones, so they're going to be like this beautiful wood. As long as they don't mess that up, I am so excited to get this one. I'm going to play the heck out of it. So there you go, my top 20 Kickstarters of 2020. That's a lot of 20s, and thank you so much for surviving through my second video, and we all survived through this year, thank God. So we'll look forward to 2021, some of these great games delivering, and other Kickstarters coming. I already have some really cool ones coming in January and February, but until then, good gaming, and I'll see you at the next stop.